What if you learned that the beef from your local supermarket was doing more harm than good? Well, before we judge every slice of bologna or burger or hot dog, just how harmful is supermarket beef, really? Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Westman, and welcome to my channel where I review and debunk nutritional misinformation online. In this video, we're going to learn from Dr. Ken Berry about what he thinks about supermarket beef and eggs and the kind of food that I typically recommend to people, but others think are really bad for you. So let's get started by watching this video. Is supermarket beef unhealthy? Cook with me while we talk about it.
All right, my friends, I am physiologically hungry now, and I'm going to break my fast. It's about 1:50 p.m., so I'm going to have 2 pounds of ground beef, and this ground beef came from Walmart.
Now, if you don't know Dr. Ken Berry, I've known him for many years now, and he's a doctor in Tennessee and has worked as a family doctor, has his own story of reversal of obesity and metabolic problems. I think he's a trusted source from the clinical standpoint. If you haven't heard from him, and I think you may want to listen to hear some good advice, not only about healthy diets, but lifestyle as well. And yet he's not an academic, and he didn't publish papers on what he's doing. So this is kind of where the grassroots meets the limitations of studies. And yet, let's see his pragmatic approach to supermarket beef. This was from Walmart.
Okay, this is just regular supermarket beef, and we're going to talk about that while I cook up this feast. Now, I do have fresh farm eggs handcrafted by Nisha. Well, actually, the hens made them, but Nisha collected them. Got my cast iron skillet. We're going to put some bacon grease. Both of our containers are full. I got to buy another container, so I just had to use a bowl to put the bacon grease from our last bacon in, but I'd much rather be rich in bacon grease as to not have any. We're going to put
Now, if you're new to this concept of having a low-carb meal or a carnivore type of diet, this may seem kind of strange, using bacon grease and hamburger, ground beef from Walmart. And yet, if you remember back to childhood, I remember that we used the bacon grease after we cooked the bacon up. It would be wasteful to not use the bacon grease. We kept it and did the vegetables in there. So it's surprising to me today we have such a surfeit of food that people will just throw away grease, not keep it, or think it's bizarre to use it. Often you can think back to the way things were before the food pyramid and all this other stuff got distorted. And so it doesn't seem unusual to me to use bacon grease. I wonder what you think.
good dollop in there to get everything going. Now, let's talk about beef. Is this toxic and dangerous? Is it full of antibiotics and hormones? Or is it still a health food, even though it's just regular supermarket Walmart beef? So certain antibiotics, if this cow was sick and they gave it antibiotics, they have to wait 21 days before they send this cow to the processor. Same for hormones. The only hormones that's legal to give cattle now is bovine growth hormone, which is the hormone that cows actually make themselves. They just give them a little higher dose of it so they grow faster and get bigger. It's not like it's a weird chemical. It's just cow growth hormone, which cows already make. But they also have to have a washout period so that that's completely gone before this meat goes to the processor. So this is just ground beef. Is this going to have microplastics, nanoplastics because of the wrap? Probably a little bit. But if you really want to eat something that's high in nanoplastics, eat a bowl of cereal, because that's really going to be high in it.
Well, I agree with what he's saying here, and that is having ground beef, whether it's not grass-fed from the farmer's market, from the neighbor down the street who raises cows. I've heard all of those stories. The idea that you have to have super clean food and it can't be from substantiated organic place, I think is what he's trying to say here is that it's better than the alternative, which would be cereal and other things that people typically would have. I'm struck that there really are no great scientific studies to show that the special kind of beef or organic kinds of foods don't really change the human body in a substantial way. If you know of a study, let me know. In other words, you gave humans grass-fed beef, grass-finished beef, compared to Walmart non-grass-fed, grass-finished beef, to see if the human is running better, feeling better. I don't think those studies exist. So in my experience, I've asked people to buy ground beef from all different sources, including Walmart, or in our area, the different levels of grocery stores have different qualities in meat and different costs. And I think they're all healthy comparatively to the alternative of eating those other ultra-processed kinds of carbs and food that we're avoiding on this kind of diet.
So if supermarket beef is okay, what about bologna? What about hot dogs? What about stuff like that? All bologna and hot dogs are ground up meat, so it's like a puree. Then they add some salt, add some spices, and then they put it in the casing, and there you go. There's nothing magically disastrous or terrible or dangerous about hot dogs or bologna. They are still a healthy food choice for you.
I agree. And I know a lot of people get confused because they hear processed food and they think processed meat and they think bologna. They think, oh, the pepperoni, the foods at the grocery store and the bags that are refrigerated or wrappers, those actually are okay. And I've seen people thrive in reverse medical conditions by eating these types of foods. To me, ultra-processed and the fear about processed food means the cereal, the Cheetos and Doritos and all of that ultra-processed food, which has tons of carbs in them. So I have to agree with Dr. Berry here.
Let me tell you about these eggs. These things, the yolk especially, is about as nutrient dense as you can possibly get. An egg white contains all the amino acids that your body needs in almost the perfect ratios. This is also full of amino acids as well, right? Full of protein. The yolk of these eggs, because those chickens weren't kept in a barn and fed a vegan diet. Guess what? Chickens are not vegans, okay? Chickens want to eat bugs and worms and snakes and dead birds and other stuff, and it makes their yolks a nutrition powerhouse.
Yeah, I think eggs are probably one of the most nutritious foods we can have. If you think about it, you can make an entire chicken out of an egg. And it has all the nutrients, the amino acids, and the fats to actually get a whole chick to start it anyway.
Speaking of eggs, what if all you can afford is the eggs from Walmart or your local supermarket? Are they okay? Are they nutrient void? Are they nutrient dense? Those almost assuredly come from chickens that are kept in confinement. It may say cage-free. It may say all kinds of little marketing health washing terms on the carton of eggs, but they did not have the life that our chickens have here on OB Farms. They are not going to be as rich in vitamins and minerals. Does that make them bad? Does that make them? No, it doesn't make them bad. It just makes them less good. First of all, when somebody says this is good for you or this is bad for you, your first question should be compared to what? Should you just eat a bowl of Lucky Charms instead of eating the eggs at the supermarket? Hell no. The eggs at the supermarket are not quite as nutrient dense as farm fresh eggs. They come from hens that are not quite as happy and well treated, but that does not mean that they're bad. It just means they're less good. I'm by no means a chef, okay? I'm sure I did a lot of things wrong here that Chris Cooking Nashville or some chef would be like, dude, don't do it like that. But you know what? Granddaddy Barry says it's all going the same place anyway, so I don't really care.
So the eggs, right. So the higher quality eggs, the cage-free and all, the organic, maybe will have the allure of being healthier. And if you can afford it, that's great. But I've taught people who eat the least expensive eggs, they don't raise their own eggs like Dr. Berry and his wife do. And they're a healthy food and they can get to a healthy place. Some years into my practice, someone came in aghast, agog, that I was teaching lazy, dirty keto. if you get into the internet and you have to be perfect and you have to be super clean and you have to buy the most expensive things, that was for some people what keto meant. And when I was teaching, like Dr. Berry, that you can use just real foods, just avoid the carbs and get similar or the same results, that was looked down upon. Like, what do you mean? You're teaching something that's wrong or dirty. No, I think the appropriate approach is you don't need perfection. You don't need perfect food, and you can get much healthier without that concern. And it increases the availability of this information to more people.
I know at least one person who's new to this is going to say, don't you get bored eating beef and eggs every day? No. One of the beautiful things about a carnivore diet is that you learn to just eat when you're hungry. And when you're truly hungry, this is going to taste amazing, even if you've had it for the last 14 mornings in a row. Just try it. Carnivore for 90 days, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, and see what almost miraculous things happen to your health.
Did you hear that he started his break fast at 1:30 p.m.? So he doesn't eat breakfast. I'd like to know if you eat breakfast. Let me know in the comments below. I remember one person crying in my office because she hated breakfast. And when I said, you don't have to have breakfast, she had tears of joy. So I don't think you have to have breakfast. If you're not hungry in the morning, don't break the fast. Don't break the fast. Just don't eat. Well, another great video from Dr. Berry, and I think that eating store-bought and store-manufactured or raised, store-sourced foods is fine without the concern about bologna and processed foods. Is it the ultimate best? I'm not sure. Show me a paper that's kind of my litmus test about people having better metabolism without the store-bought foods, and I may be convinced a little bit. Hope you like this. If you like, please like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and look for new content on Wednesdays and Fridays. If you enjoyed this video, consider joining our YouTube membership for early access and exclusive live Q&As with me. Just click the join button below or support us with a PayPal in the description.